Oh, okay. Our intro didn't run. Hi everyone. Hello and welcome to ACL Falcons UK. We have that So, this is episode 113. We've just lost Cal. It stinks like technical issues, but we're going to roll with it now because we're live and that's what we have to do. So, we have a full house today. It is a Victory Monday. And I guess Mark is blinged up, ready to go. Liam is wearing some crispy merchandise as well. I've actually got my my merch on over from Atlanta when we went last year, so we are all blinged up. I'm going to jump Cal back into the lobby. This is the most chaotic start ever. Boys, Victory Monday, how are we feeling? Liam, you're top right for me, so I'll start with you.
Great. I mean, the word victory is the key to this. I'm always going to feel good when it's a victory. So no matter what happens, it's always going to be a positive. But I think there were quite a lot of positives to take from this one. Different positives than we're used to, I guess, as Falcons fans, because it was the defense that kind of won us the game almost, and it's rare that we get to say that.
Yeah, very much so.
Which obviously we'll come on to. So. Yeah, very, very positive for a Monday.
Nice. Feeling sharp. It makes a change that it's only 2 games in that we're getting to celebrate this as well.
Exactly.
Mark, you have returned to us. You've been missing for a few weeks, living a hectic lifestyle. So take the stage, mate. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, you know, what else? You know, what else can we say? I mean, the I think the game overall, it just felt to me just more of an execution of a game plan. Like they'd obviously identified that we could run the ball better. I mean, you know, Penix had half the passing attempts that he had against the Bucs. And it just, I mean, don't get me wrong, it does help when you've got, in my opinion, probably our collective opinions, the best running back in the NFL. But and he showed that for many reasons yesterday, in my view. So I look at the game overall and I go, do you know what it is? Like, if you wanted to see amazing, you know, flashy 50-yard touchdowns, no, it wasn't the game for that. But what we all wanted to see was, what could this defense do? And I was slightly mesmerized. You know, it was just like, it kind of felt when I was watching the highlights earlier on, it was just it's sacks and pressure and QB hits and it's just everything that I kind of feel like we've been lacking. Now I think we have to compartmentalize this, you know, and we'll come on to it later on, and I have never ever held back my opinion on JJ McCarthy. I think it was the most obscene draft pick at that position in a long time. But he couldn't cope, and he was, you know, and I think if we are completely honest, we said originally when Ulbrich came in, we would move to a more aggressive forefront defense. And we kind of hoped that the personnel that we had, albeit very young, laden with rookies, would start, or second-year rookies would start to come together. And we've got some evidence that it is. And, you know, I don't mean to say that I called it, but I called it. Brandon Dawless is a problem. He is a problem, and he is hilarious with it as well. And I can speak from experience. There is nothing worse than getting pancakes by a D lineman and, you know, him dancing and laughing at you and all that sort of stuff. Because I mean, there's no bigger hit to your ego, never mind your body, than that. So, yeah, for me, all across that defense, it was just different level. We contained arguably one of the best receivers in the NFL, and the defense. I'm not sure if I would say necessarily the defense won us the game, because they just, like, I don't think the Vikings were necessarily firing on all cylinders as they could have been, but you play the team that's in front of you, and you just have to rely on the O to score enough, and we did. So yeah, I mean, for me, it might not have been a slobber knocker of a game, but it was a wonderful, refreshing watch, and long may that continue.
Absolutely. Like we said, there's more to be hopeful for than there was last week. Of course, Mark, you are one of the more positive ones in this group, so it was probably better that you weren't present last week, as we may have had some internal riots. But yeah, looking up. Cal, you did the all-nighter representing the boys on socials. How did you feel about it?
Amazing, honestly, great win.
Oh, there we go.
Great win, great weekend. Obviously, on it rounded off with just that win at the end was something I've never seen. I don't think I've ever watched first half, being so pleased with the defense and then so frustrated with the offense, because the game was there to be taken all game, to be fair. But to allow 6 points against, like what Mark said, Jefferson, one of being the best wide receivers in the league, and obviously we've got a new quarterback, obviously second year rookie, but basically first year rookie. To silence him like we did was unbelievable. But also away from home, and I think that is a massive point that we need to make, because on our travels in the last few seasons, we don't tend to pick many wins up, especially in a stadium that is loud. Like, it is loud. We was in the car driving home, and we took a timeout on the first drive, which is very, very, very rare and quite frustrating straight away when you're sort of wasting a timeout straight away. But we silenced that crowd, and that's all we needed to do, especially with the 5 sacks in the first half. The rookies absolutely taking over. It was honestly unbelievable to see. Obviously, the offense still isn't perfect, but we'll get onto that. But overall, what win?
Absolutely. I think we'll do that first. I think we'll cover that section first. So, as you just referred to, then we had to take a time out nice and early, and the play clock ran down twice within the first couple of drives. It was, of course, based around the atmosphere at the stadium, and apparently the boys in the team had been working in a loud environment all week to try and combat that. Liam and Mark might be better to speak on it than we are, but what would you expect there? Because of course people were saying hand movements and things like that, but if you change in your play, the O-line already can't see hand movements because they're already lined up and facing. So I'm glad they ironed it out, but what would your expectations be normally? Because they're not the only team that play at that stadium. Everyone does. So there must be a solution.
I mean, there's not really much of a solution, really, if you genuinely can't hear and you can't translate the plays. Obviously, it's not too bad when the initial player was getting across. When you could hear that, it was okay. But it was on occasion where you couldn't even hear, obviously, the initial play call. But then I guess an experienced sort of quarterback would instantly just switch to basically calling his own play. But obviously, Penix is still in his early days. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
To do that. What he was trying to do was just almost like cover the sound out, which obviously wasn't doing very well, and trying to listen to the play. I imagine some other quarterbacks probably would have just gone, I'm just going to do what I want to do at this point because I can't hear it. But that's just an experience thing that in time would come. And obviously trying to change the play, that can be difficult in any environment away from home, but obviously especially when it was that loud. But the only way to silence that is to get first downs. And when we started to get first downs and stuff as the game went on, especially when we were running the ball, the crowd soon calmed. They soon started to quieten down, and the third downs and stuff were not as quiet as the game. Not as loud as the game went on, because they felt they can only keep it up for so long, especially early on. So we knew we just had to ride that.
No,
yeah,
you'd be shattered.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only other point to make there is that it's a loud stadium. People do go there, and it's difficult for other teams. But I mean, playing in loud environments. I mean, some of these kids that come out of big colleges are used to loud environments. I know that if you're coming from a small college and you're not playing to many people, but it's, a lot of these players who played for big colleges are kind of used to having to deal with that. I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing because of the amount of youth that's in this team, and they're going to have to get used to that. And for most of them, it won't be the last time they play the Vikings. So I kind of feel like, to me, what I seen after those kind of early timeouts and we started to get a little bit more fluidity was, look, let's not overcomplicate it. No, not every level of football is played with headsets and mics and all that sort of stuff, and players getting called from inside the helmet, right? So I'm not saying football is a simple game, because at the NFL level it's not, but you have to find something that works. And it kind of felt to me like, look, if this is becoming a problem, let's adjust, right? And I've seen enough over the past couple of weeks, and even in the Bucks game, I know I wasn't here for the review last week, but it did feel like we consistently went toe to toe and went, right, okay, this is working. There's a reason that Michael Penix threw the ball so much, because they obviously didn't think that the run was going to work. So whether we agree with that or not is a different story altogether. But I suppose for me, it just felt like a corner was turned where they went, this is a problem, let's adjust and fix it. And then it never really seemed to be a problem after that. So again, you have to kind of give the kudos to Zach Robinson, and I know Carl doesn't like doing that, but and the rest of the coaching staff, because they made the changes when it was needed, and it worked.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the many positives, because there were. Of course, the rookie Sean. I know Cal was a big fan, so I'll let him jump in for this bit. But Liam, if you've got any PFF stats to support Cal's logic on any of this, then crack on. And I might drop your promo video coming up soon. So nobody knows about yet. But yeah, go on, Cal. Any of the rookies stand out to you, apart from all of them?
Apart from all of them, exactly that. I think I put on Twitter, how many times do you see 4 rookies absolutely ball out? Even last week they all did well, but this week it was unbelievable. You don't see this that often, especially proving how young our defense kind of is. You got to see the experience part of it. But overall, there's quite a few youngsters. We've still got second-year rookies that are coming into the team this year with the injuries from last year. But to see 4 of them to make a massive impact on a game in, like, say, obviously as a loud stadium against a team that I still think would do all right this year. You had a few injuries in that, but overall, you can't ask more from them. And I think it's just so exciting as a Falcons fan for once to see a defense be unbelievable all game, but also rookies to be unbelievable all game with all the veterans backing them up as well. Like, it was honestly, watching it was like, I've never been so shocked watching the Falcons defense. Like, it was unbelievable to watch. And, a lot of people will be watching this and be like, oh, it's only the second game, it's only against the Vikings. I'm 6 or 7 seasons in, and I've never seen a defensive game like that in my life. So for me, it was as watching the Falcons, but it's unbelievable. Yeah. Everyone did the part. So honestly, great overall.
It was very much a night of firsts, wasn't it? So Mr. Watts got his first interception. Mr. Bowman Jr. got his first interception. Pierce got his first sack, and then Walker got his first sack. So to have every single rookie to have something on the board within the first 2 weeks is impressive, because for the last 2 or 3 years, we've had times where rookies have not even taken a snap all season and things like that. So for them all to be contributing, you've got to take your hats off to Raheem and Terry for actually
picking people to fit what we need at this exact moment, because that was one of our biggest concerns, I think, going into the season, that our draft picks haven't always been haven't always hit the ground running, which has had a detrimental effect on us. Liam, do you want to enlighten us to anything stats wise? Did the eyes deceive?
No, I mean the stats overall are pretty good. On the defensive side, there's quite a bit of a switch around compared to last week in terms of grades, which is quite interesting. I think I was when I was going through last week, I think I was saying that obviously Onyemata was absolutely rock bottom in the grades last week, and he was our third best defensive player grade wise this week. And then Ebiketie, who was our second best, I think last week, was our last this week, which is kind of a good thing in a way, showing that we've actually got different options. If one guy's not playing well, somebody else can sort of step up. Because Zach Harrison was our second best defensive graded player this week, as you could probably guess. That was coming from the 2 sacks, but by a comfortable margin of nearly 20 points. Divine Diablo was by far our best graded defensive player. Again, because he was number 1 last week as well.
Yeah. Last week, I said that he was the person that probably impressed me the most across the board. Like, he looked like he settled in straight away, hit the ground running, and arguably could have had an even better game last week, because he missed a few that you could have maybe called for interceptions on. So that consistency is huge for us.
He graded nearly 90.
Nice.
And it's wild, right? Because like I watched him last week, and I was really impressed with him last week. And I guess I was impressed because I just didn't, he didn't arrive with any fanfare. It was kind of like let's just fill that room kind of signing.
Yeah.
And I even spoke to a friend of mine who's a Raiders fan. I mean, there are people out there that suffer more than we do, and even he was like, I don't really have anything to tell you about him. Like, he's just, hence why I just thought he was a bit nondescript. But in the 2 games I've watched him, the ferocity that he brings to that defense. I mean, don't get us wrong. Every single player in that unit yesterday played with a real intensity, and it was great to watch. But I have to say that so far, I have to probably agree with that. He has stood out as a real linchpin in that defense. It's been fantastic. So I'm not surprised to hear that.
No, makes perfect sense. I'll stay on you a sec, Mark. Any of the rookies stand out to you in particular? Of course, everybody had a bit of a showing in their own right, but we know it's you.
I mean, I won't cover all ground. I think Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman Jr. Have been have done really well since they've came in for first year rookies. I mean, I'm more intrigued because I like to talk about and watch the big boys up front on both sides of that line, and for me to see Dawless and Rook finding that partnership and us kind of seeing what we expected to see, which is the rotation off the edge, which obviously kept them guessing. And if there's any sense to it, you would think that this is something that we are going to continue to see, where they're going to rotate those edge players, every single one of them, who bring different qualities. Like saying Zach Harrison, the guy was a 7th round pick, like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were like, this dude, he's just going to be an absolute jobber. But to see him, 1.5 sacks, it just feels like we've, yesterday, I'm not going to say that we have, because we're only 2 games in, but it feels like we have hit on a scheme that really fits the personnel that we have. And I think that we saw that with such a defensive heavy draft. But yeah, standouts for me. I know they're not technically rookies as such, but it does still feel like they are because they didn't get that much last year. But Rook and Dorless for me, you know, and I'm championing 54 all the way through the season now. He's
stuck
my
to him.
he's my new darling.
You called it nice and early, so no one can take that one away from you anymore. Just going to jump to the comments real quick. Paul, as always, thank you for watching. Good evening, chaps. Actually worth staying up for once. Can confirm that is true. Usually we go to bed heartbroken. And we'll use that as a little redirection to the specials team before we circle back around. Let's talk kicker a moment in time. We discussed Koo last week, of course, and what was going to happen there. And of course, since then, we've picked Romo up and we've run with him. He went 5 for 5 with his longest field goal being 54 yards. How did you all feel about him?
Well, his first kick was definitely on the dodgy side, and I think probably
Terrifying.
maybe another 2 or 3 others, but at the end of the day, he got 5 out of 5. He's hit 54. Do I think he's probably going to be our long-term kicker? Probably not. But was I excited to see a kicker get 5 out of 5 against the Vikings last night? Yes. Did I applaud him on Twitter all night? Absolutely, because he deserved it. He didn't miss anything, so you deserve the praise, and then you deserve the slagging off when you do bad. Bit like, but do I think Koo will be ever seen in a Falcons jersey again? I do not. But he
I'd
did.
be inclined to agree, unfortunately.
He came in and did a job, and a very good job in the end against the Vikings, obviously in the stadium as well. Can't really ask much more, so no problems for me.
Listen, kickers fall off. They do it all the time. You know, and I think we were almost lucky, you know, for years and years, and we had Matt Bryant who never fell off, whose consistency never dipped, and I'll be sad the day that Koo does go, because he's been a great servant to this team, and you know, I think a lot of us would have been more suicidal had it not been for some of his kicks over the past couple of years, especially in that Arthur Smith offense. So I think we have to compartmentalize that. Actually, if you look across the league, kickers come and go and hit hot streaks and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Like every year I used to do a draft, and I would always draft Greg Zuerlein, played for the Rams, great kicker for many years, dropped off the face of a cliff one season. And last I heard, I think he was at the Jets. I'm not even sure if he's playing anymore. But it is just the rotation of kickers. Like, I'll give you another example. Rodrigo Blankenship, that he played for the Colts. He looked mental, and he had like these weird glasses. And he had one great season. Everyone was like, "Oh, this dude's amazing!" Literally, second season, gone. And I think he still hasn't been picked up, if I'm understanding correctly. So it's just one of those positions. You lose your mojo, and all of a sudden, your surplus to requirements, you're gone, and the next person comes in. I rewatched the kicks. And I do agree with Carl. Like that first one, it was
whoa.
It was yeah, you know. But at the same time, what I hadn't realized was actually the longest was 54, because the camera angles I was watching the highlights on were from face on and not long ways. But I am actually, now that I've watched it back, I am a little bit more convinced that he might stay with the team, especially with them having Lenny Krieg, the German kid, on the practice squad. So you know, are you gonna try out another kicker for another couple of weeks, and then, you know, is it just going to be like a swing door thing, and then maybe the next kid we get in loses his mojo straight away? Romo could have lost his mojo after that first kick last night. It is a really strange position, and I just think we have to kind of go, look, if Koo's dropped his, his streak and lost his mojo a little bit, then I'm sure he'll find another team,
Yeah.
and I'm sure we'll find another kicker that will do good enough. It's a really tough position. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's your only job, and if you can't do your only job well, then that's a problem. So, and I think, I obviously listened to your show back last week, because obviously I'm afraid I couldn't attend. But for me, I didn't necessarily, because they iced him just before he was about to take the kick, and the kick that they iced, he actually made. So. Unfortunately, it's just one of them high pressure moments that he didn't come back down from. I think it was very telling that there was no injury, but he just wasn't selected this week, and that to me probably feels like writing on the wall. But at the same time, I'm not gonna remember him with any less fondness for what he's done for this franchise over the past few years. So
absolutely. That I admittedly, like we all know, last season was rocky, especially by his standards that he'd set for himself and for us. And this season started in the same ilk, unfortunately, but it does not take away the numerous walk-off field goals that he's scored, won us games, some absolutely sensational. I think he had a 57-yarder a couple of seasons ago and things like that, which at the time were like brilliant to watch. So it doesn't remove away from his legacy at the Falcons. It's just part of the game, unfortunately. And like Liam said last week, kickers are everywhere. There's probably like 40 of them sat there in the free agency at the moment in time, because that's just how their life works. Without dragging it away from this sport, I suppose it's like being a goalkeeper in our football, in terms of you make one mistake and all eyes are on you. Whereas if you're in any other position, you generally get another chance to redeem yourself or something. But if you miss a kick, it doesn't matter if you score another, you still miss 3 points or 1 point or whatever it may be. I'll move away from that a little bit and move on to something else, and then give the floor to Liam. So, new commenter, new watcher potentially, unless just new to tonight. We've got Uncle Steve's Lounge. What's up, guys? Great win over a good team. Definitely over a good team. Question for you all. After 2 games, do you like our run the ball or pass the ball style more? And then, of course, mention that Q will probably be cut soon. So, Liam, I'll pass that one to you. Run the ball or pass the ball?
I think we've got to say that the run the ball's our style, and the players that the strength is in our run game. Or you could say our sort of check down pass swing, using Bijan essentially as I know it's a pass, but essentially using him as in the pass game, almost as a runner, if you will. I think they're the 2 strengths that we've got. Certainly, that's what I'd be leaning towards as our style. I mean, it has been for quite a number of years now, hasn't it? So it's not really anything new. We've been a run team, even under Matt Ryan. So like later years, we're a run heavy team. We're starting to go that way, and it's still, it's still a very valid, but it's still a very valid game plan, as long as you've got somebody who can sort of pass the ball when we need to. And I think we've got that, so we're just got to keep, we always say, we've said it quite a few times, haven't we? The better run game you've got, the more dangerous your pass game becomes, especially in the play action passes, because people would start to fear it instantly, and always they'll read the run every time, and then your passes could be wide open. So I like that we've got a strong run game to open up some options. Obviously, I think receiver wise, apart from Pitts, I think Pitts has been very good. We've been a bit iffy so far. Obviously, wondered with his fumble wasn't great. Obviously, we're missing Mooney. We've missed some. Penix hasn't missed the passes, but the receivers haven't been electric yet. I don't think we've had a big play yet in the passing game that I can remember. I don't know what the highest yardage in a game is so far. Have we got above 50 for one player? I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I don't remember a play that big yet.
We've not set it the light, we say in the past game. We've just been very solid, which has been fine. Obviously we're right now. Obviously, Bijan had like over 100 receiving yards, whatever it was, but 60 of them was in like one play, and he obviously kind of did it. He did it himself, didn't he? Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, we look very good. But yeah, we're obviously going to rely on the run a lot this year again. And I think we'll be successful in a lot of games if we can move the ball. Like we said last week, our weakness was we could not run the ball at all. Like we had 44 yards, whatever it was, between the two running backs last week, and this week we've gone for whatever it is, like nearly 200 or something. So you can see the changing fortunes when we run the ball effectively. I think we're going to be a good team. It's whether we can do that on a consistent basis. Hopefully this week is the week that will continue and not last week's.
Definitely. Just quick shout out to Smokestack watching on X. Thank you very much. And also I noted all of your comments in the last couple of weeks. So thank you very much for the interaction. We'll stay on the run game a second because it was a tale of two sides, really. Bijan got all of the yards, all of them, like 1,000,000 yards.
Yeah.
But of course, Tyler got a really tasty little touchdown where he could have crawled through. There is talk that they let him do that because of the time and everything, and that probably dictates it a little bit. But it's still nice to see he was the man that got that play, because in week 1 we kept running those lateral routes and shoving Bijan running out wide and everything like that, when really Tyler was the man to just plug them 1 and 2 yards. So, Mark, how are you feeling about the 1-2 punch?
Good Lord, there's a question I never thought I'd be asked. I look at it in a couple of ways. I think that the run was so heavy yesterday because I think London and Mooney were not 100% in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we've seen Pitts get a fair share of targets as well, to which he held on very, very well. I think London was unlucky with the fumble. And again, it was almost the way he caught it and the way that Penix threw it, because it was kind of zipped down low, and I just don't think he was expecting it at that part of his body. And obviously you've got to remember as well, it's very rare these days to have it, like Drake didn't have a left-handed quarterback in college, for example, so you're catching the ball differently, like you're almost doing it the other, like the way that the opposite way that you would have done for most of your college career and his career with the Falcons. How do I feel about the 1-2 punch? Yeah, I mean, I think it should be utilized more. I think we're all agreed on that. I think the O-line did fantastic to get Bijan the lanes that he needed to get through. But I mean, you can't knock the fact that there were so many players there where he sort of took a juke or took a step, or just one of them little cuts that somehow he just manages to send people the wrong way.
Yeah.
My concern of not using the 1-2 punch actually isn't that Tyler gets more reps. It's more, do not run Bijan into the ground, because that is, that we've seen it with so many teams in the past, where they've got a talented running back and they go, well, we'll just use him all the time, and like it doesn't end well, and any sort of injury at the age he is and at the stage of his career he is, I think would be really, really detrimental. So I'm okay with it. I do think the Vikings let Algier in. I actually have no doubt about that, truth be told. I still think we would have went in if they hadn't, but I think it was intentional. But I think we kind of said it towards the end of last season too, and they have to find that balance. And I'll answer your first question as well. Do I prefer running or passing? I think with a fully healthy Drake London and Darnell Mooney, I think I prefer passing. Because I've seen again enough from Penix, and you've seen it this week too, with even the limited amount of completions that he had. He is starting to get the feel of a game manager. And he's not doing, I mean, I'm sure I'll probably jinx it by saying this, but we're still on 0 INTs. He's making better choices. Took a couple of sacks, and actually I I think definitely one of the sacks this weekend was definitely his fault. I think he just dawdled too long and he went through his reads a little bit too slow. But you know, that's there's no quarterback's perfect. So I'm still I'd still like to see him sling it more, but I think the passing game against Minnesota was purposely schemed so that actually those long shots were done less because they didn't really have faith in the receivers to get to where they needed to be because they're not fully fit. So I think it's going to be interesting. You know, we've got we've got weaponry and we've got a quarterback that can get the ball there. So I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I'll sit on the fence.
Yeah. Few points to come off the back of what you've just said, to be fair. In terms of running your running backs into the ground, completely agree. Like, I despise, we've seen it with so many players. You see it with Kamara at the Saints now, like dead all the time, like injured all the time. We've seen players like Todd Gurley, obviously, that we had for a brief period that was exceptional in the league. And by the time he got to us, he'd been absolutely battered so much that he wasn't a fraction of the player that he was before.
I think like, you know, notable ones, and I mean, I'm talking about like good running back, like McCaffrey is still, you know, up there for me in the top 3 running backs in this league. But his time at the Panthers was so detrimental to him because they just, you know, and he's on a better team now, so it's a little bit of a stranger example. But like the Giants did the same with Saquon, you know, and Saquon had so many years of injuries, and now the Eagles are managing him, and he's you know, he's still unbelievable. So I just don't want us to go Bijan will just give it to Bijan, give it to Bijan, give it to Bijan. It's great that we're utilizing them in the pass game, but if you're going to utilize Bijan in the pass game, get Algier involved, because that's sort of dumping it off to Bijan in the flat. Again, that's gonna start becoming something that teams look for. And the problem with hitting that is if you've got a corner or a strong safety coming straight down looking for him, he is going to get totaled. So, you know, any team playing cover 0 will be just absolutely looking to come straight into that flat and take him out. So I think we just need to be mindful of it.
Absolutely. Just going to jump back into the comments a quick second. Bijan just isn't human, let's be honest. Correct. I think he's been hovering around since he came into the league in terms of being in that top 10 running back debate. In the last year, he's probably come into that top 5 running back debate. Honestly, if you're not counting him as your top, anything less than top 3 now, I think I'd fight you.
I agree.
I think I'd fight you.
I agree. Yeah. I genuinely don't think anybody can argue with that right now. Like you know, his talent is just not fair.
It's undeniable. It's one of those, people love to hate the Falcons because 28-3 or rubbish at this or never won anything, blah blah blah, a billion different things. But when you have a player of that quality, it's hard to argue. One more comment before I move on. And this one is actually from my missus. So I'll drop this in. Loving the show as always, gents. I may or may not be stealing the insights from this show in the hopes of understanding why my boyfriend is screaming at men on the TV living room at 2 a.m. Guilty as charged, as always. So thank you for that, Britt. And she can probably hear me not only through YouTube, but also the fact that she's like 2 rooms away right now. I love that for me. I think I've just had a subtle telling off in public for shouting out loud, so I'll make sure to tone it down next time, as long as we're winning. But we'll a few other little bits before we jump onto the Panthers. One little shout out, Mr. Floyd got his first sack as well. How are we feeling about him? Obviously, the expectation was just for him to come in and steady the ship, really, and hopefully apply that pressure. Looks like he's doing it so far, but any thoughts, Liam or Cal? Or Mark, to be fair, but...
Go for it.
No, I think he's one of them guys that we needed to come into, like say, sort of steady the ship because of obviously Jarrett leaving and a few other players leaving, and then you've got a whole new rookie room of the defense coming in. But I think he's done a great job so far. I think he's doing what we asked him to do. He's fitting into the scheme. I think what Mark mentioned the scheme earlier. I think we're actually getting players to suit this scheme. I think in the last few years we've had a coordinator came in. We've always had, I think, decent set of players with Grady and that. But I think it was time for him to sort of move on. I don't think he was fitting the scheme. I don't think he would have fit it this year either. But it's about time. I know he's on his second game in, and there's obviously a long way to go. But it's good to see players fit in the scheme compared to trying to make them fit in, which doesn't always work. There'll be players who are very good, but they don't fit in schemes. And I think we've got a good set of players now, especially with these rookies coming in as well, which he's fitting it. Obviously, second game in, but we'll take it on to next week. I just want to shout out to obviously Alfred going back into cornerback with Terrell being injured at half time, so for him to come in and do half a game in that position. Even Mike Hughes, who first half he got targeted a lot, but for them to come in and basically Jefferson, I don't even know what he ended up on. He only had one catch in the first half, which obviously he took about 40, 50 yards, whatever. But apart from that, we kept him quiet. So I think with the AJ injury and then Alfred coming in, sitting back there, big shout out to him.
Sorry, Cal. Paul's just jumped back in the comments, probably in response to what Britt said. I was under strict silent celebration rule from the kids, just like that video of the Borussia Mönchengladbach fan from years ago. I do actually remember that, but that's quite niche, Paul. So I feel like quite a lot of the viewers right now might not have that one. I think we're done for most of the recap for that game, unless anyone's got anything that I've overlooked before we jump onto the preview of the Panthers. Sweet. I'll take that 2 seconds of silence as an opportunity to move on. However, I'm going to try and introduce a new section and hope that technology doesn't let us down here. So I'm going to run a little VT, and it's only a few seconds long, and then one man in this chat is going to take the floor. And after he's done it, we'll explain how this is going to work in future weeks. So, I'm trusting technology here. Watch this. Fraud Watch. Mark suggested this week in our chat that he has a bone to pick with a certain player. So I'm going to give him the floor, and this is your very first episode of Fraud Watch.
Welcome to Fraud Watch. I have strong opinions on many players. Obviously, Liam and I are a little bit more in tune with the college game, so we see players coming through. And some players sometimes they get a bit of trajectory because they have a few good games against awful teams, and everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's amazing," and I am here to dispel those rumors and these myths and tell you like it is. Now, I'm going to start this first episode with the poster boy, in my opinion, of Fraud Watch. He was on Fraud Watch for me before last year's draft when he was drafted. I alluded to it earlier on, and I want to introduce you to the first victim of Fraud Watch. It is JJ McCarthy. Now, I won't always focus on players that have played against us, but I will continue this segment to be passionate about the fact that some of these players that are playing in the NFL are nothing more than sausages of the highest order. Now, I will begin this with the fact that JJ McCarthy was playing in such a tremendous Michigan team. He didn't need to be good. He needed to be fair to middling in that college season where he played behind a great O-line. He had great personnel, and they also had a tremendous defense, which would allow him to just, trickle into leads, and then games were won very, very, half-arsedly. And I think last week we watched them against the Bears. Now, listen, the less said about the Bears, the better at the moment. They won marginally against that Bears team.
Yeah.
And if memory serves me right, I think it was like 27-24, right? If you are in a 3-point game with that Bears team, I think you need to have a strong conversation with yourself. But let's take a little dip into this absolute frauds stats from the past couple of weeks. Now, against the Bears, 143 yards, 13 completions of 20 attempts. 20 attempts against the Bears. Guys, this is the same team that Detroit just put 50-odd points on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave that there for a second. You're only trusting this kid to throw the ball 20 times, and he only made 13 of those throws against the team that just got 50 burgered yesterday, right? So let's move on. Yesterday, against us, 21 attempts, he was trusted with one more throw against a better defense. And he only made 11 of them. We need to have a serious conversation. This kid was drafted at 8. He was drafted before Michael Penix. Now, I'm not saying Michael Penix is, the second coming of Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, might feature on this segment very, very soon himself. I'm joking, obviously.
He was drafted at 10 after Penix.
If I was a Vikings fan right now, I would be mortified. This Vikings team went 14-3 last season with Sam Darnold, right? I'm sorry, Vikings fans, you are in for a roller coaster of a season. That kid yesterday did not know what was happening. He was getting sacked all over the place. He should have his O-line lined up against a wall and repeatedly kicked in the clemmies. It was an absolute horror show. Kid was seeing ghosts. I'm saying it now. JJ McCarthy, you're on Fraud Watch.
And that concludes the first episode of Fraud Watch. Run back the VT. I love
Tune in next week.
There we go. I love this segment. You might have to watch out for JJ McCarthy's lawyers just in case after that absolutely harrowing summary, but quality.
I'll challenge him to a trial by combat.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to go in a combine against him. He'd back out of that. So
I mean, listen, right. if he throws 20 punches and only lands 11, I think I'll be all right.
Stunning. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the first episode of Fraud Watch. That is going to be a weekly segment now. We have got another segment in the cards, but I'm going to give that another week just to so we can ground it out a little bit. But what we'll do now, we'll jump onto the Panthers game for 10 minutes before we call it a night. 0-2 Panthers, not looking that pretty for them. How are we feeling, Liam? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, we should beat them. They maybe take a little step forward compared to last season with actually having a capable receiver now, which is kind of helped them move up a little bit. But overall, they didn't really have the didn't have the draft capital to really make a big step forward this year. So I don't think they have. So they're still very vulnerable. I think Panthers fans would expect the same, that they were going to take baby steps for a little while until they can sort things out. And yeah, I still we should be still beating them in a pretty well. Really, I think I don't think they'll. I don't want to say too much because obviously you never know what's going to happen with us.
Yeah.
But we personnel to personnel, we're still a better team still this year, and I think we will be for 1 or 2 more years at least. So yeah, I think we just got to shut down the run game because they can run the ball with decent trajectory, but and then shut down obviously T-Mac and McMillan, who showed obviously in his second game figure over 100 yards in his second game, which is pretty good going. So he's going to clearly be a threat. Like there's not many. I can't think of another receiver really who's built quite like him with the speed that he's got in the whole league at the moment in terms of like being like whatever it's like 6'5" or 6'6", whatever he is.
Yeah,
he's a definite threat. But that's quite good when you start looking at a team's offense and really seeing 1-2 threats max. You kind of know what to take out. Obviously, Terrell is going to be a key, but I assume he's going to miss time, like the way that he sort of like hobbled off.
I've still not heard anything either.
I'm assuming he would miss some time if it's the next game. Like, obviously we've got. I would imagine we would have put him on McMillan. That would have been the play. So we're going to have to come up with something different, which makes it a little bit harder for us. But they still haven't really got a good defense. They're still going to stutter on offense, so we should be able to run over them a little bit, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just going to jump into the comments 1 second. Southside Ricky, another first-time watcher. What's going on, everyone? Falcons Nation over everybody. My first time watching you guys rise up Victory Monday. Thank you for joining us, Ricky. It's not often we get Victory Mondays, so we like to celebrate them when we can. We'll dip back into the Panthers game. Cal, anyone that you're looking to match up against? Of course, we've got all of our rookies firing at the moment. Are you expecting the same from them this week against the arguably lesser team than what we've played so far?
Yeah, I don't think obviously they've got a great O-line either. I know Vikings had a couple of injuries on theirs and we, let's be honest, dominated them. I think if you get the pressure onto their quarterback, I think it'd be the same this week. I don't think that's special. Liam obviously mentioned the wide receiver. With Terrell being probably going to be out, obviously,
yeah.
If you get the pressure on the quarterback, like on Young, I think the main thing is he will start throwing it a bit quicker, and he does get it out. If he gets the ball out quite quick, he has been quite accurate. I think Matt mentioned it earlier. But if you get the pressure on him, he might. That's more opportunity, obviously, to get a few interceptions because he's going to put it on. With our safeties, I think they'll be helping a lot in the backfield like usual. But because of AJ will be out, I'm not really worried. I think there's a Panthers guy the other week who said, "Oh, watch us," and they're 0-2, and I know we're only 1-1, but I don't think they're even close to be a threat this year.
A little shout out to our friends over at Pondside Panthers that were gonna be on tonight's show, but under very suspicious circumstances, they decided to drop out. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't want to get absolutely slated by the four of us, but there may be an element of that. So he's probably done it for his mental health. Mark, how are you feeling about the game?
Well, I in preparation for this evening, I did something that I don't usually do, which is I went and watched the Panthers Cardinals highlights because I definitely wouldn't watch us. But I think the thing that I noticed is Bryce is definitely taking a step forward. When he first came into the league, he looked woeful, and I think he does look slightly more comfortable now. As Cal said, as I put in the group earlier on, if he's got time, he's accurate. And with AJ being out, that is probably my biggest worry about them getting ball down the field. I think their receiver core is all right. I genuinely do. They've obviously brought Renfro in, and I'm a sucker for Xavier Legette. Although he hasn't really set the world light since he's been there, I do think he's got it in the locker to ball out. So I think the way that we win this game is you put pressure, just like we did this week. You throw it at him. You get and I think, and my prediction would, or the person that I would be flinging at him more is our speediest rusher. I want to see James Pierce Jr. get in his face, because if you get to him quick, he panics. And when he panics, he turns into prime Desmond Ridder. Like he is an interception machine. And when the Cardinals did do that, and Calais Campbell had a wonderful time against them this week, although the Cardinals did try their best to throw that game away. I think we win this. I think the game is won by getting to Bryce Young quick and getting in his face, knocking him off his stride. We know that when you do that and when he gets hit, his production goes down. So I think that is certainly a massive part of it for me. Their defense, I'm not too worried about. One sack, one sack in 2 games. Not really overly concerned about that. I think our O-line has done relatively well. Obviously, a couple against the Vikings, but I think the Vikings have got a much stronger rushing room than the Panthers do. So yeah, for me, this game is won by terrifying the life out of Bryce Young, which we now are equipped to do so.
It makes a nice change, and it comes at a hard time for me because I do quite like Bryce. And last season, he looked a little bit more on the up, and he looked like he had a bit more about, no, I like him. I think there's a bit of a player there. Yeah. When you look at what the Panthers have done over the last handful of years and the rotation they've had and stuff like that, they left him with absolutely no weaponry at all, like none. Like Liam said, they've finally brought in some receivers and stuff this year. Mm-hmm. So it's a shame for him because I think the position that franchise have found themselves in has dictated the trajectory of his career so far quite heavily. But in saying that, I think we beat them 30-10. I can't see us holding another team to no touchdowns at all, but I think we clean them up. So, boys, do you want to drop your score predictions as well?
I think the Panthers are
going 27-16 to us, so another high-scoring win.
I was going to go 27-14.
Nice.
I do think they get 2. Just presuming that AJ's out, I think they might get 2 touchdowns, and then I think we'll put up 27. We might get into the 30s, but I'm going to go 27.
Okay.
35-17.
Okay. Oh, you've got them down for a couple of touchdowns then as well. Okay. Well, we'll take that on the chin. Cal, what are you going for?
33-17. Quite closely close to marks. I think it'd be. It's funny because I actually put this one as a loss, and it's not because I think they'd be better than us. I just think there's at least we lose against them at least once every year. But I'm changing my mind after seeing the first 2 games and with how we played last year. By the time we play them in the 11th week, if we've won like 8 in a row and we lose that one, probably won't be too bothered. But if we lose on Sunday, I think it'd be a massive loss. But I think it'd be quite comfortable. They might put a few points up at the end, but I wouldn't get it. And I think our passing game this weekend, I think it'll be sort of 50-50, and I think they'll both click.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you another prediction as well. Kyle Pitts is going in the end zone this year.
This year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This year, I hope so.
I mean, if you look at his career path, he's on for 5 touchdowns this year, isn't he? Seems he got 1 in first year, 4 in year 4. So you never know. It's got to come sooner or later.
I fancy it this week. And again, seeing that connection, just got a feeling, boys. Just like I had a feeling about Greg Dorlis. I've got to keep trusting these feelings. Do you know what I mean?
You when you get a feeling, it's typically pretty accurate. You've got a something in your bones, mate. Like the same as Ray last season to be a standout player.
Listen, my track record is in optimism is getting better. I think.
Yeah. If I was a betting man, I'd utilise you at every.
I wouldn't if I was you. If you'd seen how many football accumulators I've lost by one team in the past couple of weeks.
Falcons specific, maybe. Comments are popping off, so I'm going to jump in the comments a quick second. Jimmy, which is one of our boys, nice to see you happy on a Monday, up the Dirty Birds. Please note that is coming from a Packers fan. So typically, would not be in the friend zone, but of course we don't play them this year, and they are, to be fair to them,
Listen, Packers are a problem. Packers are a problem.
They've got the potential to go all the way this year. I said it pre-season, to be fair, as well. So you can check my TikTok, do what you want. I said Packers for the Super Bowl, and Cal's got a bet on that as well. So
yeah, I know, but your TikTok in the off season was full of some horrendous takes. So
say it again.
I think you get more abuse off me on your TikToks than anybody else.
Especially when I talked about Manchester United instead. You hated that.
Well, maybe I am the oracle then. Who knows? But...
Lovely. Going to jump back in the comments a second. We've got Southside Ricky saying that he watched the Saints. I shouldn't call them the Saints. I should call them the Aints on this podcast. And Spencer Rattlesnake is absolutely trash. That was a bonkers game, might I add. That is two of the worst quarterback pairings ever on paper to face each other. But they both got touchdowns, and that's because each team is just as trash as the other. So nobody could stop anyone on either side of the ball. So it made it look like a super competitive game. It's
essentially just a game of flag football.
yeah, pretty much.
I think that's a bit harsh. Mac Jones threw 4 touchdowns and went for 350 yards or something, didn't he? I think in the end.
But shouldn't you expect?
I think it was the Saints, which isn't saying much.
Jeez, my hearing must be get worse because I should have heard that train of defending Alabama quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't think he's very good, but he did a good job. Obviously, it didn't look very good, but stat-wise, and it's against the Saints, which I mean isn't that much of a thing. But stats-wise, he'll be happy with that one. He'll milk that one for the rest of the year.
It looks good in there. It
looks good on paper,
books, doesn't it? When you're telling your grandkids that you
played
in the
3 touchdowns
I had a great gather round, grandkids, gather round. Let me tell you about a time where I threw 3 touchdowns against one of the worst NFL teams.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's lovely stuff. In the comments as well, we've got Electrify saying no better feeling than staying up until 4 a.m. and actually getting the win. It wasn't pretty a win, but it was a win, and that's what matters. Agreed, but also disagree. It wasn't the least pretty win we've ever seen. Like, there was a lot of positives to take from it, so I'm more than satisfied.
Defensively, very pretty.
Absolutely. Defensively, definitely, yeah. And the offense, like you said, that was very based on London and Mooney not being fully fit and carrying injuries a little bit still. So we made do with what we had. Sorry, Cal, I cut you off then.
Yeah, I think it was one of them games where obviously they give us quite a lot of opportunities. We could have easily hit 35 past them yesterday, without a doubt. It was just one of them we didn't take most of the opportunities we got, but we still made it look quite easy in the end. So I was very pleased overall.
Yeah, and I think the big takeaway really, the Vikings defense are not bad. Do you know what I mean? Like they are, and I, as I kind of alluded to earlier on, I think that's why they were just like, look, let's not take big risks with receivers who are at 50-60%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense to derail your season for the sake of trying to put up a 30 bomb against a team when actually they can't score for toffee. So it just like not pretty like from an offensive way, but sensible. And lads, how many times have we said that over the years? Do you know what I mean? Well, we played really sensibly last night, and you're like
we don't do that.
It's the complete opposite, guys. Do you know what I mean? So I take the point, but there's nothing more pretty than seeing the opposing quarterback on that back.
Yeah, did nothing. Yeah, we're used to saying "settle down, lads, don't do anything silly," and then somebody throwing a pick six or something absolutely ridiculous. Few more comments. Nike Hendricks, thank you for sharing the stream. It has been pretty busy tonight, so thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Electrify is going for a 34-14 win with a Pitts touchdown to bounce off the back of Mark's predictions. Ellie says, we've been crying for a real defence for years. We have. And the amount of times we've discussed that on this podcast in terms of the lack of pressure and lack of consistency. It looks like it's early doors, but it looks like we're putting something together now. And then Electrify on the back of that again. Defence was sensational. London and Mooney at the heights we know they couldn't get to, obviously. But it's a beautiful win. Bijan is a magician yet again. So all of us have the Falcons on for another win in this weekend's divisional matchup. Before we wrap up the show, we'll just do a couple of minutes of around the league. If there's any teams that anyone wants to talk about, we did it last week, so we'll make sure to air all of our opinions. I'll start, and it might come into fraud watch like Mark referenced, and I'm going to grab the mic for this. The dynasty is over for the Chiefs.
100%.
Finished. Finito. Done.
Bookmark it. 100%.
They look a fraction of the team that they've been for the last 5 or 6 years. Kels looks like he's falling apart. Mahomes did a presser where he tried to cover him for a drop catch, saying, I didn't hit his body with it. You have to hit it in the body of people that are that size and things like that. And I thought, mate, he's starting to cover for someone aging. There's nothing wrong with Kels. He's probably arguably been the greatest tight end the NFL has seen, or at least in that debate. Each to their own, but he's been right up there. He's in the conversation. But his body's starting to fail him. And Mahomes is looking panicked. And I know that the Chiefs have some injury issues. But somebody said in the comments of our preseason show that they thought the Chiefs would come third in that division this year. I did laugh it off a little bit, but you never know. Looking at it, it's not looking pretty for them. So that's my around the league for the week.
I think that's just that point. I mean, first of all, I would massively question your point about Kelsey. He's been good for about 5 years. Like let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Like
when you
if he drops off a cliff now, he's not in the conversation. Like there are tight ends that have done. There are tight ends that have done it their whole career. Tony G, Antonio Gates, Gronk. You know, there are tight ends that I would put for career. Like, don't get me wrong. If he picks up a head of steam and carries on being productive for the next 5 years, then fine. But I'm not saying it. Secondly, I 100% agree that I think the dynasty is potentially over. Their salary cap decisions have caught up with them. They've not got enough talent across all of the field. And I would 100% put the Chiefs as third in that division come the end of the season. There we go.
And I don't think the person's watching tonight because they would have definitely jumped on that straight away if they said so. But I'm sure they'll catch it back. Any other takes from around the league from anyone or on the same point of the Chiefs? I'm happy with any.
I don't think the Eagles have started off. I know the 2-0, so it's a bit hard to say the team's not started off well. I still think they'll be up there. I still think it'd be Eagles v probably Packers in the NFC Championship game. But to be fair, they started slow against last year, and we actually beat them in the second game. But I think they are. They look slightly weaker than last year, but they're still generally a strong side. But I think Packers on the NFC side are the strongest team at the moment.
Okay, I'll take that. Liam, any from around the league for you?
I was just into counter Mark's talking shit about Kelsey. Sorry, says war. It is after war.
I mean, we could end the show on that, and I'd be more than satisfied. I don't think you've ever sworn on this show in 130 episodes. That is stunning. You think?
Can't believe I've managed to say something. He's
had like 1,000 yards for like 10 years straight. And Mark said I think he said he's bang average. So.
I love it.
Listen. Do it for a few more years. But
what you do for 10 years straight? That's good.
Well, right. He was mid last season. He's been awful so far this season. If he continues to be awful, then he's finished.
Yeah, I think he's having a wobble. Definitely. I mean, he's my age and he's probably got my knees, so he's not doing too great. But he's certainly been good.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
I mean, obviously the talking point for me was the Giants and Cowboys game, which was
Crazy.
a humdinger of a game, wasn't it?
Ray Craig,
Yeah.
Cam Scatterbull.
Yeah, who basically like he goes hunting for concussion, just Cam Scatterbull. Like,
that's my guy.
He's got open space. He runs at the quarterback because he wants to knock him over. I've never seen anybody do it. It's so funny. He's an angry man. I wonder what he's like in real life. God, he must be.
I love it.
And obviously Russ Wilson threw for nearly 500 yards or something.
Yeah.
I did like the his like final. I think it was his final throw, the turnover, which was the interception. I essentially lost in the game, which was an awful throw because you could see he got absolutely giddy. It was like as if he was feeling like everything he throws was going to be an absolute diamond, and he threw this absolute howler straight.
Yeah.
He was like, turns out not a miracle. But it was great to see him sort of back to obviously Russ of old. He's obviously been a very good quarterback, and for a long time he was, and then he obviously everyone said he's finished, and then maybe he is, but for a moment he was back at least.
Yeah,
and obviously for somebody like Neighbours to 4-2 just seems to be able to catch everything. Is quite helpful. But yeah, that was a game that maybe will be hard to top this season, I think, in terms of quality.
Yeah, absolutely. See, this is why I love this segment. We finish the show on a high because there's no stress and anxiety of the Falcons talk shit about other people. It's brilliant.
I've got one before we sign off. How about them Colts? Daniel Jones. Like what? Like who knew, right? And I'm sure like the most viral moment was that celebration. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but
yeah,
with the mascot, it was great. And I've got a friend of mine who's a Colts fan, and he was so depressed coming into this season. And hey, I mean, fair play, fair play. And I mean, they have a insanely, I would say easy, but easy-ish schedule.
Yeah,
I could genuinely see the Colts skating to the playoffs. I mean, they'll likely get mullered at the playoffs, but fair but you can only play what the teams are in front of you. So I just kind of want to give a little bit of a shout out to Danny Dimes. Who knew you had it in you, boy? Good stuff. Good
I
stuff.
saw that. I saw the picture with a meme of him like giving Daniel Jones in a clean pocket, maybe for the first time in his entire career, because he has played behind some bad O-lines. Give him a good O-line, maybe he's quite good.
Just on the Giants games, I seen a video just before I came on, and it was probably one of the best videos I think I've ever watched. And it was the offensive tackle for the Giants, and the edge rushers coming around, and this geezer, the Giants offensive tackle just literally, essentially, just punches this bloke in the head. It was unbelievable. And I think that particular guy, I can't remember his name, he's the first player in NFL history to get flagged 4 times on the same drive. It was, and that 4th flag was just punching somebody in the head. Fair play.
But it cleaned him out as well, though. It was effective. It worked. Hit the ground.
Tremendous. One of the, it kind of embodied one of the many reasons that I love this sport. But it's been a good weekend for football, and I think we just we need to just kind of pray to the football gods that CJ Stroud pulls it out of the bag tonight, and I can also see the Chargers going 2-0, so hopefully some good games still to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Final comment before we wrap up the night, and this is a good one for us. This is from Paul. Anyone that watches may know that his son is in fact a Bears fan, which is just wrong. However,
Thoughts and prayers.
However, good news. My son has asked if he could be an on-loan Falcons fan. Jalen Johnson out for the year has tipped him over the edge.
No.
Oh,
No.
I was going to say yes. Do we not get
Absolutely
to adopt
not.
people?
You don't do loans around here. You either you nail your flag to the mast like the rest of us, or you dwell in the misery. That is the only. So take it or leave it. Sorry, Paul. I know you're a long time listener of the show. We love you dearly, but it's a take it or leave it situation right now. So if you want to submit our counter offer to him, tell him to get off the fence, get one of your jerseys on, and join the party.
Absolutely. And in our defense there, we have suffered too. And Ellie has jumped in the comments and said, we've suffered here. We have. We've not had a winning season for what feels like an eternity. So are we really the best team to come on loan to? Because we're sitting at 1-1 at the moment? Possibly not. But that remains to be seen. On that note, we're going to call it a night. All four of us have the Falcons on for a win against the Panthers this weekend. Thank you for almost 200 people that have tuned in live across tonight's show. YouTube was popping off, which we really, really appreciate. So thank you all for the new subscriptions over the last few weeks and everything. You know where we are on socials and all of that. But something that we've missed for the last few weeks in Mark's absence has been a real true sign-off. I have not tried to copy him. I've not tried to take that. I know this sign-off is trademarked and he would take me to court for it and take me to the cleaners. So Mark, please, can you sign us off for the night?
You can catch us all over social media as well as all of your normal podcasting platforms. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And that is how you return to the fold. You actually broke your mic halfway through that and it stopped picking up sounds. Thank you everyone for watching. It has been possibly my favourite show that we've ever done out of pure entertainment value. And as always, a Victory Monday. Thank you for everyone that's tuned in and got involved in the comments and everything. We will catch you all next week where hopefully we are the 2-1 Falcons. See you next time.